Hi, I'm GREER Gillespie. I'm the special effects makeup artist for DEFARIOUS for Rhythm and Flow Entertainment. I was born and raised in central Vermont. Not a huge film industry there, and I always wanted to go into film. So about 3 years ago now, I decided to move to New York City, where I attended the makeup designery and started training in special effects, and I've been freelancing my way through ever since. For this particular production, actually, my name was recommended to our director, Chase Palante, by another special effects artist I know through a networking and production site, and she saw my work, thought I'd be a good fit, and really thankfully threw my name out there. Preparing the special effects for this film was actually quite an interesting process, because I did my first test makeup, and it was looking really good in person, but under lighting on camera, it looked just a little funky, and it was really all I had prepped and planned, so I spent about 5 hours trying to think of some very unconventional ways to get this intestine, prosthetic gag to work right. It ended up being about 5 hours in my shower, covered in blood, surrounded by loaves of bread and gelatin and packs of pantyhose that eventually turned into the final product you see on film, so it was an interesting prep time, to say the least. Time on set was really great. The cast and crew were a ton of fun to work with. We were well fed, well caffeinated. It made a huge difference shooting these long overnights, and we were able to work hard when we were working, and we just had a lot of fun when we were off camera, so it was great. The actors on this film were so great for me sitting in the makeup chair, even through some pretty non-enjoyable circumstances. Jason, for example, Jason Torres had to have this thick bald cap and this really heavy coat of paint on him, and it was so hot that most actors would have been complaining. It was a long application, really uncomfortable. He spent the entire time either cracking jokes or taking naps in the chair, which made my world amazing because it was so stress-free. Janet was the same way. She had to go through some really terrible applications. At one point, I had her laying on a cold, really uncomfortable floor, just covering her in blood and muck and goo, all of that. She never complained once when I had to have her spit this really nasty chemical dark blood. Never flinched, never complained, just did it every take perfectly. It was awesome. There's even one take during the climax where I'm laying next to Janet, shoulder to shoulder, just below camera, just lying there, just splashing blood up at Jason. They handled it like pros, didn't even flinch that I was there. I think this film is gonna get a pretty good audience feedback, and it's gonna be really relatable for a lot of people. The whole concept of your nightmares kind of sticking with you after you wake up and haunting you in your daily life, it's something that I've dealt with, and I think a lot of people on a less extreme version are totally gonna understand, and it's really gonna get to them psychologically. We have just wrapped our last day of shooting. It was a great day, night, whatever you want to call it. All kind of blends together in the end. I have left set. I just left the last of my crew members behind. I'm walking around looking a little bit like a serial killer. This film is really great, and it's going to bring something that we haven't seen in a while to the horror genre, especially for the ending. With a lot of horror films, about 5 minutes in, you're thinking I know who survives, I know how this ends, I know where we're going. And DEFARIOUS really brings a new kind of twist to it where you're not sure what's going to happen, and when it finally hits, it's not what you've been expecting the entire film, which I think is a really great twist up, and it's something people are really going to want to follow. Everyone can follow the updates on this film at www.defarious.com, and it's really something to look out for this year.